Welcome to Plein Publiek, our weekly Friday program in which editors of the Balie speak with inspiring guests. My name is Ianthe Mosselman, and tonight I will be speaking with Tea Tupajić, an internationally acclaimed film and theater director. As a young girl, she survived the Bosnian War, and then 20 years later, she began speaking with dozens of Dutchbat veterans who were stationed in Srebrenica. In July 1995, 8,400 Bosnian Muslim men and boys were killed by Bosnian Serb forces, an atrocity later declared a genocide by the International Criminal Tribunal in The Hague. She wrote a book speaking with 6 Dutchbat veterans, and it's one of the most incredible things I read over the last years. It's called Zwarte Zomer, Black Summer, and it's a poetic account of the conversations that she had. So Tea, thank you for being here and for this book. And maybe to go back a couple of years in time, for when you first started interviewing these Dutchbat veterans, can you take me back to the first conversations that you had and why you started interviewing them?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy and flattered that you invited me. I would take it even one step back and to explain why I came to the Netherlands in the first place to meet the Dutchbatters is that growing up, of course, having gone through the war myself, but in the years after the war as well, the Dutchbat had a very specific cultural role in our country, and I think also in the whole former Yugoslavia. And that role was actually made very significant through an artwork of a Bosnian artist whose name was Sheila Kamerić, and she made a wonderful artwork where she, I don't know if you've seen it, where she took her portrait as a young woman, and there she, as a collage, she put a riddle that is actually a graffiti that was left at the Dutchbat compound in Potocari, and the graffiti goes, "No teeth, a mustache, smells like shit, Bosnian girl." So the Dutchbat has always been something that was a very present cultural and also an emotional symbol. Not just for the ones who, in this situation where there was, of course, an attack of Serbian forces, and there were 2 lives. There were Bosnian lives, and then there were Dutch lives. So they had a double symbolic role of the lives that were saved, as well as of an incredibly deep wound that they have made towards the Bosnian women, and by Bosnian women, I mean all of the others as well in similar situation. It became a symbol of how the world outside looks at the person in an incredibly humiliating situation, and what they see there is was best described in that riddle. So I knew about them. I knew about them in my bones. And when I came there, when I came to the Netherlands, it was really a proposal to get to know them deeply. So I never. It was not about interviews and spending a little bit of time together. We really developed long relationships, complicated relationships, conflictual relationships. And then throughout the years, it resulted in this book.
But why did you want to have these relationships in the first place?
Because at that point in my life, and I think now as well, for me there is something utterly unacceptable, that there are always lives of 2 values. Mm-hmm. One are worth saving, and the other ones are not. Like I also write in the book, there are lives for whom, when they are threatened, there are telephone calls, there are emergency interventions, there are meetings, and when the other people are dying, no one picks up the telephone. It is that, and also because I wanted to very much, through this graffiti of a Bosnian girl, there was something about the idea of a woman, or the idea of a victim, or the idea of a war victim, that I felt not necessarily I need to change that in the perception. I thought that it is different, and that I should somehow say something about that. So these two things brought me into relationships with them.
Mm-hmm. And you spoke so many of them, and in this book there's 6 voices. Why these 6? How did you decide who you were going to include and exclude?
It was also something about when I wrote to them. There was a book of a Dutch photographer. His name is Friso Kuris, and he's a wonderful portrait photographer. And he just made portraits of these men and women, and and just like a short story of them. And I didn't read the story at all, but I looked at their images, and then I said, this one, that one, that one. So it was through what the portrait told me, and then after I found them, then I wrote to them on Facebook. And this first time that I wrote to them on Facebook, my proposal was also, so it was not about that I will interview you. I came with this very clear question of why did you leave? And did we matter to you at all? And then I met a little bit much more than those, but because of the structure of the book and how their characters come together and what they immediately clicked in me or said, and I made a structure.
And I wonder if you can take me to how that goes. You write this message to them on Facebook, and do they then immediately want to talk with you? How does that go, that process?
I think I very purposefully already started on a very high note. So it didn't start, let's meet and I will interview and let's see how it goes. I already started with... I think I actually wrote to them that I was a child in a war, and that I remember that there were images of us on the TV when there was war, and that I said to my father, look, don't worry, we are now on the TV, someone's going to come, they're going to help us. And I wrote this to them all on Facebook, and I said, and then you came, but you did nothing. And I think maybe it was also a moment in their lives when they were open to such conversations. Because
it was a relatively long time ago.
Or short enough time. Now maybe would be a little bit too... I think it was just the right moment in their lives for the ones that I met. And then we started spending time together.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering what it was like for you specifically, and I read somewhere that you prefer the word survivor over the word victim, or that that it has a big difference for you in how you describe yourself. But I was wondering what it was for you specifically to write this book in the Netherlands.
Because some things just came by themselves. They were Dutch, and this is very much also a Dutch wound. Mm-hmm. So it made sense to do it in the Netherlands, but to come to a country and to in that country open one of their biggest wounds while being involved and vulnerable yourself. The process that I went through, not with the Dutchbat veterans, but with the institutions and with the publishers, was, I would best describe it as a hell on earth. It was really a painful process.
Do you want to talk about why it was painful? What made it painful?
Concretely about the book, I think to understand that is we have to go a little bit back to think about whose story is this and whose narrative is this. And when I came to the Netherlands, I felt very much like this wound that I'm entering of your society, that the Dutchbatters were a lot of it was projected into them. And like Mr. Grunberg says for the quote of the opening of the book, he says, who wants to understand the Netherlands? And then another friend and a writer of mine said, but they are the Netherlands. And so many things open up there in the way how they are rejected or ostracized, or how there is an identification with them. And yes, and there is also very violent and conflictual situation. I also had the feeling that when we were talking about the role of a victim, is that one thing that was really important for me to it is one of the most important things of my life, is to share this not message, but there is this misconception that because we were seen as a Bosnian girl or as a victim, that we also perceive ourselves as that, and that we have somehow internalized the view of the world on us. But for me, also as a writer and also as an author of this book, I never, and like you asked me about victim survivor, I can say that in every moment of my life, I never ever forget that girls and people like me were not supposed to survive, let alone to survive, to find a meaning in that, and to transmute this experience into an artwork. I never forget what kind of a miracle that is, because we were. They tried to kill us with every single weapon of the arsenal. They tried to humiliate us, starve us, make us lose our minds, and the fact that we are still here, I find that miraculous. So this is something that I really always carry as an author, and when you ask me about the role of a victim, it's that.
Yeah. Maybe it would be nice if you would read.
A little bit?
A little bit.
Which part would you like me to read?
I think the first. Or
okay.
But if you prefer something else, that's also good.
Okay, yes. You want to introduce it somehow, or I will?
No, I think.
Okay. In the early morning, on the 11th of July, the Serbian army called our observation post. And they said they were taking the enclave. They said, "We are not shooting at you, we are shooting at the town. But if you take up arms, we will fire back." We were 6 men. 20 to 30 Serbian soldiers entered our observation post. They looked mean. They took our Nintendos and our Walkmans. Then they went to talk to our commander. The commander told us what to do. I obeyed the commander. I gave to the Serbian soldiers my weapon and my safety vest. We tried to protest a little bit, but the commander said it was for our protection. Then I gave them my blue helmet. I don't regret it. I didn't want to die for a war that wasn't mine. I didn't sign up for an operation that was a lost cause. It was bloody hot, I lost 20 kilos and I was exhausted. I wanted a good food, a cold beer, a cigarette, and a comfy bed. I'm not a hero. I gave away my weapon, my safety vest, and my blue helmet. I did this without a gun to my head. No one told me that they will use our blue helmets to disguise themselves as the UN to easily enter the house of the civilians. The Serbs didn't know what to do with us. They left a few soldiers to guard us. They spoke English and a little bit of German to us. We spoke about holidays, about Greek islands, we spoke about women. They gave us candy, Coca-Cola, and cigarettes. But the entire time I could feel that something was strange. Something was very strange. In the afternoon, the buses started passing. I could see they were full of boys and men. The soldiers said they were being driven to the football stadium for an interrogation. But when the buses went up the hill, I heard the shots. I think they were using a machine rifle AK-47, also known as the Kalashnikov. It is a machine rifle approximately 1 meter in length and it weighs 4 kilos. Its range is up to 30 meters. I guess they were shooting from approximately 10 to 20 meters because if you shoot from a closer stance, you get covered in blood. They probably ordered them to kneel. On this rifle, you can choose a single setting, which means you shoot 1 bullet at a time. Usually one uses that setting to save the ammunition. But they were using the automatic setting. You fire at 130 bullets or more. When the buses returned, they were empty.
It's horrible. And I wonder how
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is.
No, I'm joking.
I wonder what it's like for you to listen to all these, to these people sort of telling you this. How do you keep, yeah, you probably can't keep saying.
I can.
Why? How?
I can keep sane?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can. Because there is something that I also find as a big gift of them. I remember also specifically with this man. I asked him, "Do you understand what you are saying? And do you want me to write this down, or do you want me to say this?" I asked him several times, and he said, "No, I understand, and I want you to write it down because it's the truth."
Mm-hmm.
And there is something incredibly. I have a huge responsibility towards that, and I think it's also very generous from their side to say, yes, I will. If you will listen, I will tell you the truth. And art always tries to tell the truth, maybe not in the way it says the core of the truth. So I wouldn't say that it was hard. It was really, it was profound, mm-hmm. And it was also very intimate, and of course not without conflicts. But yes.
No, what you said about the art that you make, do you believe really in confrontation when you make art? That's very important for you. Is that also this? or is it
Yes,
different?
I believe very much in confrontation, and I believe I also believe in conflict. I believe in art being a dangerous space that then paradoxically also then it becomes safe. I think when we embrace the danger that both of us have, I think then only then we can be safe. All the rest is just playing it.
You think it's not real?
It's
then?
not real.
Why not?
Why it is not a real
Yeah.
safe space? For instance, let's take this situation. It is not only when I embrace the monstrosity of a man saying this, then I can be safe, because then I know in what situation I am. And same for him. Only when he knows and when he's fully aware of what it does to me when he's saying that, then we can be safe with each other. So maybe it's also about transparency, and I also in general believe that art can only come from when the relations are deep and open.
You also said about, because you were asked also if, and also in your work with the Yazidi women, you made a performance in which they tell what has happened to them, and you let them very free to tell their story. And then you were asked if this also the retelling of the story has a something therapeutic to it. And then you say, no, that's not the function of this and not the function of art. Can you elaborate on that?
Actually, a very dear colleague and friend of mine who was Rick, who was the trauma therapist in the process of is also with us tonight. So it's funny. I'm sorry that I have to say this now, but I think that what art does, both in the case of the Dutchbat project and of the Yazidi women, is that there is a specific way how survival starts meaning something different, when it's not just about your physical survival, but when your personal story gets a meaning, and it becomes a part of history. And I think that this is what art does. All of a sudden, it is not about my personal story, elaborating it with the therapist, but it becomes, we very consciously, when we were writing the book, I said, do you understand now that when you die, your stories will become a part of Dutch history, your personal intimate stories. And I think that this gives it another dimension. And we as human beings in general would like to believe that our lives were not meaningless and that it was not all for nothing. And I think when going through such impossible hardships, I think this is even. I think this gives an opportunity to transcend something.
And what does it bring them, do you think, to retell these stories? Why do you think they want to talk?
Exactly because of that, because it gives it, yes, my personal story is not just my personal story, it is now a part of history.
And then there is somewhat a belief for you, and maybe also for them, that knowing more about these sort of things will maybe help in the future, or is that too optimistic? Is that too much to ask?
Exactly how it is. But I mean, this is actually exactly what it is. You always. It's very for the first time tonight I will say the word hard. it is really hard to find an artistic expression for something so undescribable, such as the things that happened. And I think you always hope that you will find a way, or that you will find the words, or that you will find whatever your medium is to get to the heart of it, because of maybe a certain naivety. You think that if we would really get to the heart of it, then then it would never not happen again. But yes.
Do you think that what did you learn about it? Did you really came to another understanding about what happened?
Yes, because I think that my understanding before was an understanding of a child, and I think I understood a lot about about. I think this is a wonderful example when this man says, "I am not a hero. All I wanted a cigarette is
A beer."
So it says very much something about the banality and the purposelessness of our lives. And when you think that such big historical events are involving, actually, like you always think that it's about the big causes, but it's about complete banalities. And also about, I learned a lot about personal defeat. I learned a lot of things that I welcomed by saying, tell me the truth, such as, for example, if you remember when one of the Dutchbatters calls the people, she says, when we would go outside of the compound, it would be like a safari, and I saw people searching for food, and I called them the eaters. So I also heard some things that were much more painful than I thought at the beginning that they will be. Yes, here we are.
You write something, maybe if you want to read the last fragment for me, because you write something very beautiful that relates to this, I think. And it's one of the last fragments.
Shall I read it, or
Please.
you introduce it? Okay. Her face lit up unexpectedly when she continued. I know that I matter. There is one thing you don't see. War was ugly, but we were beautiful. Where Alice sees eaters, I see a life force. The fear of the people at the compound was hope. I see only beauty. The honor of my father, who promised that he will never kill the father of another child. The resilience of my grandmother, who crawled with a broken spine but kept going. The fate of my grandfather, who said that he never killed a man, therefore no man will ever kill him. Well, he was wrong. All the days and nights of tears of my mother. And me. We were beautiful, and as such we should be remembered.
This is you, and you describe how you're meeting one of the Dutchbatters in...
Or he meets me.
He meets you, yeah.
He meets me.
Yeah, he meets you, and he. I think it's one of the most, well, one of the pieces in the book that made me think the most, because there's a situation in which he, in a strange way, tells you that you matter. And then he was someone who was actually someone who saw what was happening on TV, and then went to the army and said, I want to go there and I want to try to help. But then you show in a way that even for him to lose a sort of superior narrative is impossible.
But that's how you read it.
That's how I read it. How did you see that encounter?
Well, in the book, the way how I chose to write it is that so it's the voice of he meets me. So I write about myself as a third person, and it's very much so. This particular man has this archetypal role of a rescuer. So he goes there to rescue other people because. He actually also he gets very attached to one young boy, which is of course the boy inside of him. So many things are there a projection, but in the way how the scene with me is written is that the most he thinks the entire time, like you said, that it's about him. That I came. To interview him specifically, and that it's very interesting is that he never asks me, so excuse me, who are you, what happens to you, and this is a part of it. He thinks that this is his story, and the way how I am, it was very painful pages for me to write because I'm erased. It's almost like I don't exist, and I think this shows very much also about the idea of a victim and whose narrative is this, and so then when it flips, when I say no, but you don't, I know that I matter, not in a confrontational way, but this is not the movie that we are in. And when I say this war was ugly but we were beautiful, you see how he cannot take it in. He can't understand. So and it ends without a specific resolution between us. It ends kind of in without a big conclusion or any big fireworks.
Did you speak with him about the book? And with all of them, did you have did they read it, and what did they say?
Yes, I spoke to him on well, they are all they have this feeling, which I think is of being now part of the history, but with Harm, with this man, I still don't think that completely he understands how much this I wrote about me, not about him. So it's interesting.
He will maybe never be able to see it.
That I don't know, but again, also with him, I have a very close relationship. We have a very long relationship.
Do you ever? Because what you say, you don't judge them, or at least I didn't read any judgment. Do you not feel judgment, or do you sort of, when you realize you are judging, you try to put it away, or how do you deal with it?
In the process of writing the book, in order to write them, I had to become them, because how otherwise would you write from the first person? I went there, I said, and that was a very painful process for me, because to really embody someone, or to see the things through their eyes, and to write such offensive things. I think that a lot of the book would be very offensive to some people, of course, but that is art, and that is the truth. I can't make the truth more beautiful than it is.
Did you speak to people who were offended by it?
Yes, of course.
And what do they say?
Why would I give pages to people of such what word do I use? Banal monstrosity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing that one thing is how it's read in the Netherlands. Another thing is how it's read in the other parts of the world. But I do think that first of all, genocide is a transnational. It's not just the Dutch or the Bosnian thing or the Serbian thing. That is one thing. Another thing is that I always take it for granted that it's understood. For instance, the first epos of the European civilization, the Iliad. Of course, that Homer didn't write it to say something about the Iliad. He wrote it to say something about the war.
Mm-hmm.
And I would even take it one step further to say he wrote that thing about the war because the thing that you can write about the war about human beings you cannot say in peace.
No.
Because you will never get this. So he wanted actually to say something about a human being, and say for me. So this is not just a book about Srebrenica, but to say do I judge? I think that if I would judge, I would never be able to write it because then you just lose. You lose the scope. You lose.
Mm-hmm. But still, I think what I find very impressive about it as well is you describe the way how people always sort of, well, maybe not all people, but a lot of people think if I would have been in this situation, I would have acted differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you show very well that you don't know. Because even someone who did go there, in the end, he took his leave when things started. Maybe I'm thinking maybe to go to the last fragment and then I have a few more questions and then we go to the audience.
Okay.
Would you read that for me?
The ending of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the nights I whisper to Rina that there is a scene. It is happening in the last days. Night is falling. I am at the compound. It is hot, it's bloody hot. In the distance I see 4 women. They are fighting, crying. When I get closer I see that one of them resembles my mother. She is short, wearing thick glasses. There is something about the way she stands, about the way she talks. She resembles my mother. I go to them. One of the women cries. A Serbian soldier took my daughter at 4 in the afternoon to the cornfields. It is now night. I can't find her. Please help me. I go to the cornfields. It is summer and the corn is high. Now night has now fallen and it is completely dark. I run and I run and I run, and when I can't run anymore, I run and I run. But no one is there. The corn is high and no one is there. I go back. I say to the mother, I can't find her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She screams, I can't find her. I'm sorry. For everything. I'm so sorry.
What does that sorry mean to you?
Sorry is a redemption.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sorry is also in a certain way a prayer. Sorry is about forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And And I remember when I was thinking of how to finish the book, I knew that I need to finish with something that is like that is not a full stop, but that reverberates into the future, and that is in a way a prayer. Yeah, this is why it ends with "I'm so sorry."
But can you forgive?
I think that forgiveness is always possible. Forgiveness moves. Forgiveness moves the course of history. I mean, of course, forgiveness is about also the understanding of what it is, but it's a question of who should forgive this man. Should the people forgive him? Should God forgive him? Should he himself forgive him? So it's more than a direct thing. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Mm-hmm. Your father, there's a scene in the book where you talk with your father, and he says no one could have saved us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with him?
I agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree with him now. I think that.
But you didn't at first.
Well, it's not that. Like, let me say it. Like, in the heart of the matter, I agree with him. Of course, in the practical terms, I think that on a geopolitical situation, things could have been different. But this part about my father is to try to describe the dimensions of hatred and the horror that was that war. So when he says that no one could have saved us, it's not about because of the forces from the outside, but it was about the depth of this bottomless hatred.
Mm-hmm. A project you did a long time ago was about art and and you interviewed all these curators.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked them about what sort of art they liked, and you asked them really to stand up for art.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, you asked a lot of them as well what sort of art they would die for. And I was going to ask you the same question as a last question.
I'm not entirely sure that I would die for art. But I think that or maybe I even would, to a certain extent, I would. Maybe not in a war, or maybe I wouldn't die for art. Like if somebody would attack, okay, now there is no more art, you fight for it. I would say, I'm very much. I don't believe in this like structure and culture art, but yes, I will tell you exactly what kind of art I would die for. There is this quote by Godard when he says. There is a rule and then there is exception. Everything speaks the rule: the culture, the TV, the capitalism, and art is the exception.
Mm-hmm.
And in that exception, in the way how it can go to the heart of it, to the depth of things. And I also very much believe that for that kind of art, you as an artist, you have to pay a certain price. It's not just something that's given to you. I think that in a way I would die for that kind of art.
Thank you very much for sharing all your insights and for this conversation.
Welcome.
It's really an incredible book. So everybody buy it, read it. Thank you, Thea, for being here, and hopefully see you again very soon.
Thank you for the invitation.